And I'm going to review the agenda and also the previous month's notes. And I would ask in advance for people to approve the minutes and the agenda. Let me post the agenda first. Okay, so today we've already started. We've reviewed the website. Just know that the executive team is looking on ways to support structures that will help us administrate the meeting a little bit better. And then Marwan Cameron will be recording the Housing and Homeless Coalition meetings and posting onto YouTube for the public. I will go through agency updates in just a few minutes, and then we have a couple of presentations on deck today. We've got Matt Garrett from Kitsap Community Resources talking about housing and community support services. And then we also have Jared Moran, the HEART program coordinator from the county, who will also be presenting. If Jared or Corey is here today, I might ask if you have any county updates to share, and then we'll close with any updates from agencies that we've missed earlier. And just give me a moment to go back to chat. So that's what we have on deck, and I'm going to stop sharing. And then I'm going to post our previous month's notes. Or share, I should say. And so I will just kind of give you a couple of minutes to review. And then if you can, whoever wants to approve, or if you have any additions, please do take yourself off of mute and just make that announcement. I can't see everyone's face. Okay, I think that's all the notes. There's 6 pages of notes from last month's meeting. Do I have any volunteers who move to approve the notes, or do you need more time?
I'll approve the notes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do I have a second?
This is Janae Jenkins. I'll second.
Wonderful. Appreciate that. And then remember again, you can find the previous month's notes on the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition website. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of agency updates. Let me just scroll through chat and see where we're at. It looks like first on deck is Nicole Oberg from Salish BH-BSO.
Everybody, I'm Nicole Oberg. I'm the housing program lead for Salish Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization. And as a reminder to you that don't know, the Salish BH-BSO contracts with the state of Washington to provide crisis services and non-Medicaid services to not only Kitsap County, but Jefferson County and Calhoun County. So the update that I have actually is just to solicit a request, or well, to ask a favor, I guess. Late in May, we released a community needs survey, and this is for our entire region. So it's at Jefferson and Calhoun, and it'll help guide our programming in 2023 and 2024. So I'll slip in the chat a link to that survey. It does close on June 25th, I believe. So if you would take a moment to fill that out, should take no more than about 5-10 minutes to do. It focuses on behavioral health needs in our community with specific focus on crisis services, youth services, access, and awareness of behavioral health services in the area. Also, you're welcome to share it. So I'll leave a link not only to the survey itself, as well as a link to our webpage. And you're welcome to reach out to me directly. I'll leave my email if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. We'll get that link in the notes as well. Up next, we've got Ariana Miller from Eagles Wings Coordinated Care.
There we go. I'm unmuting. I'm sorry about that. So my name is Ariana Miller. I'm the quality assurance for Eagles Wings Coordinated Care. And we just wanted to let everybody know that we're in the process of getting accreditation done for the WA2RR. And so that's going to open up some new possibilities for us and maintain some old possibilities. So we also have on board Robert Wilson, who joined our staff last month. And we're really happy to have him with us. He brings a great wealth of experience and knowledge, and he's getting us all tech savvy and everything. So we've had a few good forward movements at Eagles Wings, and we just wanted to share that with the community.
Thank you, Ariana. I appreciate the update.
All right, thank you.
Next, we've got Jana Goyenechea.
Hi, everyone. I know, Lisa, that's a really hard last name. My name is Jana Goyenechea. I work at Scarlet Road, Director of Aftercare here. We serve survivors of sexual exploitation and sex trafficking in Kitsap County and North Mason County. My update feels like probably something a lot of others are struggling with, but we are hiring. We're hiring 2 case managers and a development director. So for our case manager position, we are looking for or prioritizing those with lived experience. So if you guys know of anyone, please send them our way.
Thank you, Jana. I also have a hard name to pronounce, but you seem pretty phonetic. I got the accents off, though. Thank you again. Up next, we've got Janae Jenkins from Benedict House.
Hey everyone, just gonna say probably the same thing as Jenny did. Benedict House is still hiring for a case manager. We're also hiring children's staff, full-time, part-time, and on call. So if anybody knows anyone, by all means, send them my way. And yeah, that's it for us.
Appreciate it, Janae. Thank you. Next, we've got Joe Walter from Bremerton Housing Equity Advocate.
Lisa, I sent you a message a few posts down saying no announcements today.
I'm sorry, I'm just working through the chat. I am glad to hear your voice and that you are here. And as I scroll through the chat, it looks like someone is saying, giving a shout out to Lee for the website. Thank you for that. And Kendra Galloway from USSI and House of Hope. Did you have an agency update?
Sorry, hi, this is Kendra. I got this contact from our board president, so I think I'm just visiting this meeting for the first time, so I'm just a visitor, but just give a quick introduction. I'm board member of UFSI, which is Up From Slavery Initiative. We are working on a housing project for transition inmates leaving the prison system, going back into the community. So we're working on a housing project for that. And then I'm also a board member with House of Hope, which is a new organization servicing, which is a pantry and a shelter for young and teen mothers. So 2 housing projects we're working on. Glad to be here. And we will fill out that membership page to join the coalition. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra. Appreciate you being here. Next is Jason Dottie, Kitsap ALTC.
Close enough. Someone's going to mess up the last name. It's going to be Dottie.
How do you pronounce it correctly?
Doty.
Doty. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, just a couple of really quick updates. I'm just looking at the notes from the last time, and as far as status of the Givens Senior Center in Port Orchard, has not changed. We are still kind of pending reopening at some point, but I know the senior center is still open. The individual vendors are still open inside, so they just have their own way of letting people into whatever program they're at. So that's still the same. I know some of you have mentioned hiring. I know we've been kind of between hiring and I was the aging and long-term care part of Kitsap County. I know there's other jobs that are frequently open too, so check in with our website too, and I'll try to share some other info as it relates to hiring for our department. So that's, yeah, and then that's kind of it.
Thank you, Jason, Jody. Next up, Joanne Sprague from Kitsap Legal Services.
Thanks. I'm Joanne Sprague. I'm the Executive Director at Kitsap Legal Services, and we provide free legal services to low-income people. And we, based on many sources of funding, we have been able to get attorneys that can directly represent people that have received an eviction notice. That's the initial notice. And then we also have the Right to Counsel program in our organization. And so if they are served with a summons, they're urged to contact us right away, and they will have full representation through the eviction court process. So I'll put our contact information in the chat. And so if anybody, any of your clients, anyone you know that is facing eviction, please send them our way, and we will get them taken care of. And we're fortunately in a situation where many landlord attorneys aren't quite up to speed on all the new eviction laws. And so it's really helpful to have an attorney on the tenant side to kind of help educate the landlord on the right way to do it. And so our success rate has been pretty good. And if you can't necessarily save a tenancy, we can at least give extra time to move out. We can help them find an alternative place to live. We can sometimes get monetary settlements to the tenants to give them money to help them find a new place to live. So there really are a lot of benefits and really no downside to contacting us, and they get a free attorney to help them through this very scary process.
Thank you, Joanne Sprague. I'm going to get this, everyone. And Jeff Campbell, you have your hand up. Do you have a question specifically for Kitsap Legal Services?
Just real quickly, I've heard that there's been an increase this year in the number of eviction proceedings. Is that true?
Not really. I mean, part of the problem is we had a moratorium that lasted for quite a while. And when they set up the Right to Counsel program as one tenant protection, they also set up the eviction resolution pilot program, which goes through the dispute resolution center. So if you're being evicted for non-payment of rent, you first have to go through that process, and then KCR, Kitsap Community Resources, was also involved because they have lots of money to help with rental assistance and utility assistance. And so even though there's been a big increase in the start of the eviction process, the number of cases that are actually making it all the way to the court process, I would say are actually a little lower than they have historically been. But at some point, rental assistance will run out, or people will have capped out the program through the DRC. That's only for a limited amount of time. That goes away. So probably in about 2 years, we'll probably reach a new normal as to what the eviction rates are going to be. But it's tough out there. We have inflation, rents are going up. It's a really difficult landscape. So I can't really predict what will happen, but
thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah, thank you. You're very welcome.
So everyone, I'm going to try to keep us on track with the agenda, just as a courtesy to our presenters who may or may not need to leave early. So if you have agency updates that I didn't get to, please know that I will get to them at the end of our presentations. Our first presentation is from Matt Garrett from Kitsap Community Resources. Matt, are you here? Let me scroll through the screen, or you can just speak up.
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Do you need any support from me, like to share a slide or anything? Or I think everyone should have permission to share.
Yeah, I was going to see if I can share the screen. I'll let you know if I have any trouble. Let's see there. All right, are you able to see the PowerPoint there?
Yep, we can see it.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for having me. My name is Matthew Garrett, the Director of Housing and Community Support Services at KCR. And Cheryl originally asked me to do this presentation a few months ago. I think she humorously said, "What the hell is going on at KCR?" Because there's so many changes and so many things happening. And it's a really good question. We also since then have had a few partners kind of ask of like, hey, it seems like there's a lot of changes and a lot of updates. And there definitely is. So what we decided to do was do a partnership with Gather Together, Grow Together, and we're doing a community training this Friday. So what I'm going to do today is kind of give a 15 minutes, kind of a very condensed version of that. And then for folks that have staff or who are curious, you can tune in on Friday. I think Lisa already sent out the invite. We did a little flyer, and big thanks to Marwan and Gather Together, Grow Together for helping with all the technical support. It's really helpful to kind of film stuff and then put it on YouTube so it's accessible and not just at meetings like this. So I'm really glad we're moving forward with filming these meetings and getting them out to the public, and especially for folks that aren't able to come on the day. So that's happening this Friday at 1, and it'll be about an hour presentation. I definitely want to warn you in advance. It is I try to spice it up, but an hour talking about procedures and policies is a little boring. So feel free to take some breaks and tune in, tune out. That's just kind of a recording that we did. I'll be on the whole time to answer questions in the chat and then do Q&A afterwards. And all of that will be put on YouTube later. Marwan and I are already talking about when we do kind of training stuff like this for the community, maybe we can spice it up better next time. But this was kind of our first shot, so please forgive if it's not the most exciting. But it is out there for everybody, and hopefully that will be helpful in answering some questions and having that to go back to. And we might try to do these a few times a year, especially we know there's a lot of folks working with Housing Institution Center. So that's what this is for. So this is geared towards folks that are working with Housing Solution Center, that are providers of services at various agencies in the community, and that are working with KCR for the housing support. So that's kind of the background and where we are. So like I said, I might breeze through some of this a little quickly, trying to keep it under 15 minutes for today, because I know we've got a lot of other presentations and we've got some other folks talking. But if you want to come in, we'll be going through the full agenda on Friday, and you can hear the whole presentation. Also, right now, please, if anyone wants to unmute to ask a question, please do. I do not mind being interrupted. I'll also open up a little bit at the end for questions right now. But if there's further questions, again, please, you can tune into the live stream or email, and we can address them on Friday too, or any other time. My contact is my phone, email is always open for questions, especially regarding procedures and processes. So, all right. So the first thing I just wanted to say, I feel like I've been saying a lot, but just thanks for the patience. This has been a crazy time for KCR. We've added 8 new programs since the beginning of the pandemic. Our team itself has tripled in size, and the size of our budgets have just ballooned. It's something like 20 times our pre-pandemic spending. Most of that's on rent, as part of our KEPA program, the eviction prevention and the COVID response. But what that's mean is that we haven't been, I think, as responsive, have been as able to help folks in the community as we'd like to, or help you all. So I know many of you have had questions that may have been a little too long to get answered, and stuff has changed so much, and all of that is true. So I just want to say thank you for your patience of working with us. It's been a hard time. I'm incredibly proud of our team and the work we've done. There's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into these past few years, but it's coming at a cost, and I think some of the partners have paid that. So just wanted to acknowledge that, and also as everyone is, we're still hiring. We're currently still short-staffed, and that's affecting some of our service delivery, which we'll get into in a little bit. So just a broad overview. I think not everyone's aware, but the Housing Community Support Service Division has 6 teams. So there's weatherization, there's Housing Solution Center, there's the housing. A lot of those 2 departments get confused quite a bit. There's our energy, our rent assistance programs, and our veterans. And each of these focus on kind of different areas. So weatherization, making homes more energy efficient for low-income residents, heating system repairs. Our energy is a team that runs the LIHEAP kind of program, and that is energy assistance, can be gas, heating for low-income residents as well. That's not to be confused with the rent assistance programs. We realize there's some overlap, and so the rent assistance team, that's the newest team that's handling all the COVID assistance. That team also does some energy assistance, so there is some overlap, and we're working on some kind of long-term synergy between those programs. They are different. That's why they're kind of different teams right now, because it's such a beast to kind of manage. But we definitely acknowledge there's some confusion there. Same with the Housing Solution Center and the housing. So Housing Solution Center is coordinated entry, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that's basically the place where folks get referred to places. They do a lot more than that, but that's the essential function. And then the housing team is a whole separate team that manages our actual housing programs. And then there's also our veterans team, which does financial assistance for low income. So that's kind of the broad 6 teams and kind of their areas of focus. So Housing Solution Center is the coordinated entry site. Almost every county in Washington has one. And the idea is, instead of walking to all the different agencies, going to Salvation Army, Rescue Mission, or KCR, and trying to see what services each of them have, the idea is you would go to one spot, and then they would be able to tell you what program has openings, what services are available at that moment, and actually make referrals. Now, the program's not perfect. It's always an improvement, but by and large, through the help of all of you, it works pretty well. And they serve clients that are currently homeless, that are at risk, and they do an application, a vulnerability assessment, and enter them into HMIS. So that's kind of the bread and butter of what HSC does. So we have kind of information, we kind of assess their vulnerability and what they need, and then we enter them in the homeless management information system. And then from there, we make referrals, either directly into shelter, into different housing programs, or other community resources such as DSHS. And HSC also, in addition to that coordinated entry mandate, they also have a lot of rent assistance programs themselves. And that's what I think gets some people confused between Housing Solution Center and other KCR housing programs, such as the RAP team, the rent assistance team, or a housing team, because Housing Solution Center is able to very quickly fund folks that need just funding, right? Not case management, not a long-term program, but are able to do funding. The Housing Solution Center is designed to be, we'll sort out where people go. So if folks if they come in for rent assistance and they're not necessarily a client that's experiencing homelessness, we'll get them to the right spot. That's what it's designed to be. So they might not need to go through a whole vulnerability assessment. And same thing, our housing team, once a client comes from Housing Solution Center and then they get referred, they can get referred if there's spots available to our housing team. And our housing team runs actual programs, homeless service programs. So these are programs with case management. So we have kind of different buckets. We have rent assistance, we have transitional housing, and kind of long-term housing. And that includes kind of our newer hotel programs, which I know there's been a lot of questions about. So Housing Solution Center, navigators referring, housing team actually running programs and actually doing long-term and short-term rental assistance with case management. Then the rent assistance team itself, this is the team that's working to prevent eviction. So this is eviction prevention. That's the KEPA program that many clients have come through, the Kitsap Eviction Prevention Assistance. And they accept referrals from HSC, or clients can apply directly online because they don't need to do a whole screening. So they at kcr.org, they can apply for assistance. Clients can receive help with rent and utilities. And with this team, we also take different priority referrals. And so this is what Joanne was talking about. We have wonderful partnerships with our buy-in for organizations and our legal partners. So there's Northwest Justice Project, Kitsap Legal Services, and Dispute Resolution Center. So when clients are actually being evicted, we can take a priority referral from them, so they're not on our wait list, because our wait list is currently 3 months. It's down under 500, which was great for the first time in 2 months, but we don't foresee that us getting through that wait list before having to close funding. So at some point in the coming months, we will have to close funding because we'll be at the actual end of the COVID assistance. I know it seems crazy with how much money that has come through. This year it might be north of 20 million, but there's that much need for rent assistance in the community. And so that's why these priority relationships are so important, and especially with the eviction team. The other priority referrals are with our buy-in for organizations. So that's Surviving Change, Hope 360. Let's see, we've got Mount Zion partnering for youth achievement. We have Gather Together, Grow Together, Kayak, Kitsap Immigrant Assistance Center, and Foundation for Homeless Poverty Management. And those are organizations that are led by the communities that they serve. And a lot of them are serving underserved, folks of color, Black, Pacific Islander, Latinx community members. And we have them having access to that priority referral system in order to meet our racial equity goals. And we've largely been really successful at that. If you're interested, we're Marwan, the conduit. I also come on to his podcast on Wednesdays to talk about that. And we'll be going through data in future podcasts. So we do release data, and if you're curious, you can tune in. Or if you want some information directly, please reach out to me about some of our data. Some of that is online already, and Corey Derenberger at the county's done fantastic with putting some of those statistics on the KEPA website at the county. So there's a few places to access that. So moving back into the unhoused world, so away from eviction prevention, just a diagram over the referral pathway. So clients at imminent risk that are exiting systems of care, so that's treatment center, jails, hospitals, shelter, or place not meant for human habitation. That's kind of the broad categories of folks that come into HSC. And then HSC kind of has 5 categories, right? In this kind of red square is actual housing assistance, right? And then we also do kind of some general community referrals as well. So broadly, HSC can help with rent assistance themselves. That's with our ROAST or HARPS grant. Those are focused on mental health and substance use. We fund a lot of Oxford houses, Eagles Wings, Kitsap Homes of Compassion for folks that are exiting treatment. We can refer into shelter. That's Salvation Army, Rescue Mission, St. Vincent de Paul, George's House, Benedict House. I might be missing one, but anyways, those are referrals into our shelters. There's referrals to other agencies that are doing housing, Kitsap Mental Health, Pendleton Place, and Agape has some housing programs, or they refer directly into our housing programs. And so those are kind of the 4 kind of pathways to actually get housing assistance. Now, each of those is a little bit different. Some are direct referrals into actually the program, such as the Rescue Mission, we're placing directly into shelter. Some, like the Salvation Army, have their own kind of intake, so we just send folks down there. Same thing like Kitsap Mental Health and Agape have a little different intake programs. So it's not always a direct referral. Each one's have their own criteria. But overall, it is hopefully, ideally, a placement when resources are available and in accordance with that system or that agency's policies. Now, we don't just have folks come into HSC. We've really expanded our reach. And so this diagram, there's a lot of arrows going on here, but the main point is that at the center, we have our outreach teams that also go out to these places. And our newest team is the HEART, that's the Homeless Encampment Action Response Transition. It's a mouthful, don't worry if you don't remember it. But they mainly focus on encampments. And so there's we have 2 staff members, and they work with the HEART team at the county. That's Jared. He does a fantastic job. He's the HEART coordinator. And we also have our ROAST team, which has been around for a little longer. That's Recovery, Outreach, and Stabilization team. They mainly focus on treatment center, mental health places. HSC in the past has always done a fantastic job at outreach. We're just able to really focus and do that much more with our outreach teams and really build out relationships, especially the heart team. A lot of folks have heard about the Veterans Park and that difficult situation, but our heart team did a fantastic job out there every day in some cases, if not 3 or 4 days a week, building relationships to try to build some of that trust, especially for folks that might not necessarily trust a lot of our institutions. So we definitely do a lot of outreach, and that outreach team can help folks get access to HARPS or ROAST, just as HSC can if they come actually in our office. And then the outreach teams and our HSC are kind of our standard in-office navigators. They can also refer to the various programs that we talked about on the last slide. And just a quick kind of overall, HSC is really at the center of our kind of the division, right? So clients come in, HSC can refer to energy, they can refer to the RAP team or the rent assistance or the housing team or outside agencies. So that's just kind of generally kind of system-wide. We talked a little about our outreach team. So again, working with Housing Solution Center, and we'll go into much more detail on Friday, but they have all these different types of shelter, which I kind of alluded to, or all these different types of referrals. So it could be shelter, rent assistance through HSC, referrals to housing programs, rent assistance program referral to other housing programs outside, general community referrals, or sometimes we help Bremerton Housing Authority out with certain waitlist projects. And on Friday, we'll go a little bit more in detail about some of these different types of referrals, what they look like, working with ROAST and HARPS, and working with some of the KCR programs. The thing I will kind of end on, because I know we're right at our 15 minutes here, is the note on hotels. So the hotel program is it's called the Emergency Motel Program. It's definitely expanded through COVID. It's been fantastic. We've really used it for high barrier clients that have a real tough time making it in the private market. So we have some hotel partnerships that we place folks there and that we'll work with them for a period of time, stabilize until they might be able to make it in a rental market or in a subsidized unit. The issue is those types of units and programs are high intensity case management. So that's why right now we just don't have the staff to take more folks. We're looking to try to get more staff, and we hope in the next kind of 2 months we'll be able to bring more folks on. Not to confuse that with the KEPA. So our Kitsap eviction prevention assistance, they also can place hotels in short term for those that have been displaced. So for those that are being evicted and cannot, there's no recourse, like the landlord is selling the place, the landlord is moving into the unit themselves, or they're part of some agreement that maybe KLS has made in order to avoid an actual eviction going on their record, and there's no other way to get around it. So those folks we can place in a hotel. Typically it's less than 2 months, and a lot of times it's only a month because a lot of the hotels only want to work with us for 29 days because they don't want the tenant to establish residency, because it makes it a little more tricky to get them out. And I think that's been a lot of confusion because that has been more folks, but there's very specific criteria, and we're not using that program and really can't for our unhoused community members. So the hotel program, yes, we have it and we are looking to expand it, but it's not really a universal program. We're trying to focus it on really high barrier clients, especially from encampments. And the other side of the hotels is the KEPA. So I know, and we want to, and I wish I could give a hotel to anyone that is in need, but it's really, there's specific circumstances, and the program is not as scalable as we might have hoped, especially given the vulnerability folks are being in there. So I know, and I'm sorry, and I know a lot of folks have been asking us, and again, I really wish I could, but that's some of just the challenges of scale right now that we're dealing with. If that changes, I will let folks know. So I'm already past time. I wanted to give just a minute or two for questions before I get off, but if you want more in-depth detail on kind of how we're working and what's happening, please tune in on Friday. And if you didn't get the flyer, I can send that out. But was there any questions before I jump off?
Hey, Matt, this is Lisa. I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. And also we have a little bit of wiggle room because our second presentation is postponed for the moment. So no pressure, and please feel free to ask questions of Matt starting now.
Awesome. I used to be a teacher, so if you tell me you have to fill space, I'll just keep teaching. So I'm happy to keep going, and just cut me off when you need to. But yeah, is there any questions to start?
So I guess I'm just kind of curious. So wait times for the Housing Solution Center and response, what's that kind of like at this point? I mean, I know you've had, like you said, a lot of staffing increases. So
yeah, the wait times, and that's something we're still. I'm really proud of our team, and Jasmine Castran is the interim Housing Solution Center manager, and she's done a fantastic job. So the walk-in hours, we really are able to still serve them. So the walk-in hours, I think it's at 8:30 to 10:30, and then I think it's like 12:30 to 3. I can send that out in an email. But so folks are able to come in and get same-day service right now, for the most part. A few days we've had to delay that. But Housing Solution Center has done a really good job of making sure they're still responsive to our unhoused clients. Phone calls, sometimes those can take up to 2 days to get a phone call back, just with especially with everything funneling through Housing Solution Center. There's all the Keepa clients, so that's, we end up with quite a big of voicemail backlog, but we're still able to get those down pretty quickly within that 48 hours. Our goal is 24 hours for a phone call return. But clients that are actually in crisis that walk through the door that are unhoused, those are still seen same day. Now, not to be confused with the rent assistance wait list. So that's a completely different, right? And that's what the wait list for folks that are currently housed, that are going through our Keepa program, that wait list is a little bit longer. So that is up to 3 months right now. So those are on the RAP team kind of pathway, not the Housing Solution Center pathway, but the rent assistance pathway. That takes a little bit more time, just because of the huge volume. We're talking, thousands of clients, they're served a year on our RAP team right now. So it's just a huge higher volume of folks versus kind of our unhoused population. So that's why it's about 3 months right now, unless you get that priority referral. So that's the wait time there. Now we are still able to respond to questions, like if they have a question kind of where their application is, we're still able to get responses back, in that kind of 48-hour time. But the actual service time for the Keepa program for eviction prevention assistance, if you're not a priority referral, that's where the 3 month is. And I just don't think we're gonna be able to get that down before. I think we're gonna run out of money before we get that down. So unfortunately, we will be having to close the program. We'll try to give at least a month notice for that, so you all can let clients know. That's our goal, and we don't know when that is right now, but we'll definitely keep everyone posted. Thank you for that question. Did that answer it, Jason?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Joanne. I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've heard rumors there's going to be a permanent rental assistance program in place.
Yeah.
When is that supposed to kick in, and how is that going to be different from current rental assistance?
Great question, Joanne. So that, I don't have anything for sure. So these are all estimates of what I've heard. So we're looking at about $2 million a year, which sounds a lot, and pre-COVID was a lot. But when you're comparing that, to 15 to 20 million, that's probably going to go out this year, right? It's a huge dramatic reduction. So something will hang around that's permanent. So the Washington State legislator did pass a bill that established a permanent rent assistance. I believe it's another document recording fee. So that will come into the county as of now every year, which is awesome, more money for the county. However, it is definitely a lot less money. So what we hope, Joanne, is to eventually we'll finish out the COVID, that's the TRAP, the ERA, and then the ERAP, all those grants. So we hope to kind of close that out, see what that new program's guidelines are, and then open it up once we're done with that program. However, as you know, I mean, probably the 2 million, Kitsap Legal Services alone could probably fill that in a year. So that will be tricky, and we'll be, talking with our buy and for partners, the legal partners, and anyone else that is a stakeholder for the rent assistance on kind of how we prioritize that, because there'll have to be a lot more prioritization than there is now, right? Right now, we're just kind of churning and burn as much as we can through applications and just getting as much out there as possible. But when we're talking about the demand being that much higher than the resources, we're kind of back in prioritization mode, which I've always said is kind of the worst part about this job, is having to choose who's the most vulnerable in order to give resources, but it is somewhat necessary in this line of work. But yeah, some programs do when it's going to get started. Some are actually starting pretty soon that are out of money. So we still have at least I think into the new year of actually spending down the last one. So I wouldn't anticipate it starting until 2023. But again, that's an estimate. If we spend quicker, maybe we'll be able to turn our attention and get that permanent program started a little faster. But we hope the goal would be to keep, as much as we're able to, some of the same relationships with our legal and with our buy and for partners, because we think that's been really successful. Great. Any other questions before we move on?
Odessa, would you mind muting yourself, please?
Sorry.
No worries. Well, Lisa, is the next presenter ready, or do I still need to tread some water here?
No, like if you're complete, don't worry about it. There's just a little bit of room, and so I didn't want you to feel rushed because we had time. But if you have anything additional to share, that's fine, but we can also move forward, Matt. Your preference.
Well, because on Friday there's like the hour presentation, so I condensed it way down, so I have plenty to talk about if we have some time, or if the next person's ready, I'll gladly pass it on. So what do you need, Lisa?
How about I'm going to give a break to you, Matt, and I'm going to return to agency updates because we had a couple. And then just so everyone remembers here, there's the deeper dive on Friday, and I just forwarded that information to the coalition. And then Matt, if you have something burning after the agency, like burning, or that's the wrong word. If you have something deeply important to share at this time and place, I will come back to you.
Okay. Let me know. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you. I appreciate your presentation. Okay. Jared Moran, the Heart Program Coordinator, was not able to be here today, so we'll try to reschedule. I'm going to return to agency updates, and then I'm going to ask if there's any county updates from Corey or Leah or Virginia as well. Mr. Ives, I know you're on deck too, so we'll get to your update in just a moment. And I believe we left off at Bridget from Kitsap Mental Health. What's going on over there?
So I just want to give you a Pendleton Place update. We now have 58 of our 72 residents living here, so that's very exciting. We're still doing move-ins Tuesday, Thursday till we're completely full. Just want to reach out if there's any agencies that want to come out and do a class or a training or something for our residents. I'll put my email in the chat box. Please feel free to reach out to me if you want to come do something. And then we are hiring still for weekend staff at Pendleton Place, as well as we are hiring for multiple positions at Kitsap Mental Health.
Thank you, Bridget. Jeff Campbell, do you have a question specifically for Bridget?
I do.
Okay.
Just real quick. Is there a search on for the director? I don't even know what the position is for Kitsap Mental Health. And if so, is there public input to that process?
I don't know enough about that to say. I know we are doing a search for our new our new CEO, but I don't know exactly the process that they're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff, and thank you, Bridget. I'm going to jump around on agency updates because I think Mr. Ives has something related to Matt's presentation. So go for it.
Oh, don't call me Mr. Ives, Lisa. Please don't do that.
Okay, Tony. Just because it's the one last name that I can pronounce.
So I'm not, just to kind of piggyback on KCR, I think a lot of folks here realize we're about to launch the community needs assessment, and a lot of many of the folks on this organizations in this call were part of the process to put together the questions, as well as some of the community partners. On Saturday, we're going to do a soft launch at Juneteenth. And then that will be circulated online as well, okay? We've whittled down the questions, so it won't take as long as it initially did. But I'm hopeful that we can get a wide sample of responses. So we'll be reaching out to all of our partners, all of you guys on this call to help get it done, all right?
Thank you, Tony. And we're also coordinating with your team on this to see if they can present a future coalition meeting.
Great. Thank you so much.
We'll hopefully be able to share more information
in
the future.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, and I just want to remind everyone, there's some good information in the chat. Nicole was our first updater, and so she has a survey. This is from Salish BH-ASO Community Needs Survey. There's a link to that. And then I believe Joanne also shared a link in contact information for Kitsap Legal Services. Jasmine from KCR has all the correct walk-in hours for both KCR's locations. Always really helpful information. And let's see. Leaf Wagner says, please contact him. His contact information is in there. If you have any updates or information to share, that can be posted on the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition website. And I just want to follow up. Last month, Katie, if you're on the call, you did a lot of work and have a full rent cafe portal that your organization transitioned to at Bremerton Housing Authority. Did you want to give an update on how that went?
Sure. It went well. We are just still processing the wait list and getting it all together. We don't have a final total yet, but over 2,300 applied, and Rent Cafe opened just so we can open the wait list, but also it's open all the time now. So if you want any updated information from Bremerton Housing Authority, you can always sign up and go to bremertonhousing.org/rentcafe. and sign up, and we're going to start sending emails through that portal and start doing more through our Rent Cafe portal, because anything we do in the future will be through Rent Cafe. So it's not just for the wait list, but it's for self-service options through Bremerton Housing Authority. So again, if you just want more constant communication with us, I'd recommend signing up for a account.
Thank you, Katie. And I'm going to put just a call out to Corey or Leah or Virginia. Any updates from the county that you would like to share with the coalition?
Yeah, I can give just a quick update, some of the things that we're working on right now. In the next month, we're really focused on monitoring. We're currently, our KEEPA programs, the eviction prevention that Matt was referring to in his presentation, we're going through audits from the state auditor, which ties in perfectly with what our focus is currently. A lot of you have heard from us recently. If you haven't, you will be soon. We're doing risk assessments for the organizations who haven't yet completed those, working on quarterly monitoring, and then we're looking at doing some annual monitoring for the next fall. So that's kind of a big area of focus for us right now. We're also right now drafting our contracts with our buy-in 4 partners for the second half of 2022. which is incredibly excited. I'm really grateful for the partnership that we've experienced there and looking to continue and then expand those relationships out. So those are the primary things that are going on in the county world these days.
Thank you, Virginia. All right, Matt, any last things that you want to share for the moment regarding KCR services?
That was great. I'm glad Tony came on and talked about the community needs assessment, and yeah, I hope to see folks that are interested on Friday.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate your time. I think we have all the agency updates. So we have the gift of time, and we'll try and reschedule the HEART program coordinator presentation. Bridget Glasspool is helping to coordinate for next month, just some support services for substance use. And so we're hoping to schedule that. We've got KCR's community assessment survey. So good things coming in the future. Please do take a look at the Kitsap Housing Coalition website, and let Leaf or I know how we can make it work better for you all. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Oh, and before we go, Katie Sharp from Bremerton Housing Authority has one last update. If you have any other last updates, just put them in the chat and I will.
I had to skip out for a minute, but have we talked about tomorrow? They're doing a Juneteenth resource fair up on Auto Center Boulevard at the Sinclair Baptist Church. I can put a link in the chat, but Bremerton Housing Authority to be there with a booth talking about our ready to rent class, but there will be a lot of resources there. And then we will also have a booth at Juneteenth in Evergreen Park on Saturday. So I don't know if any of you are also going to be there, but I just wanted to put that out there. That is happening tomorrow from 12 to 4 and then Saturday from 11 to 3.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. This is the first inaugural federal holiday for Juneteenth. So please do get out there to the park. I believe they're having a march at 10 a.m. They have this Friday open movie celebrating Black works at the Roxy Theater, and just a good festival on Saturday. And of course the fair, which all of you probably know so much about tabling at fairs. So thank you for getting the word out to our community. Any last updates for the good of this coalition? Okay, much thanks to all of you. We will see you next month. I will follow up with a meeting notes for you to review. Appreciate it. Bye.
All right, so someone has a hot mic there. As you see folks dropping off. Goodbye, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and leave that meeting. And yeah, this is the first of many. We will cover this every third Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. So that will be the only change in our schedule that you will experience in regards to our conversations and housing concerns with Kitsap Housing and others. So, Bremerton Housing Authority, Kitsap Community Resources, the county with Kirsten, that comes on every second Wednesday, but every third Wednesday now. And you saw all of those different organizations, and I'm actually going to put their website up so that you have access to that. I put it in the chat for you, but the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition is a huge coalition. So while we're waiting on others to come in, because we are going to be joined by the rest of our normal team here, and here they come. Here comes Katie. I want you to know where you can access the information for the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition. You can see up here that their website is kitsap.hhc.org. And you can see Together We Can. You can scroll down, take a look at their vision, mission, and values. You can download their flyers. If you're looking for information centered around homelessness, there's lots of good things here. There's news, Building 10, energy assistance program, what to do if you're facing eviction, just all kinds of really good things here. And there's a lot of community information here, COVID, Northwest Hospitality, Pendleton Place updates. So this really is a one stop. If you need meals, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, everyone is welcome. So they're doing a really good job of centralizing this data. Our intention is to bring that to you. As you can see, they have clickable links here, and this is how many partners they have. So I won't name them all because I'll be here for a while, but as you can see, there are quite a few, a plethora, a gaggle, if you will. So that is the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition. And how are you doing, Miss Katie? Katie's like, you surprised me. I wasn't ready yet. So while she gets her mic together here, the coalition has been meeting for a while. Yeah, you're muted. Are you with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
There you go. All right, we got you.
No, it
How
was
you doing?
One. I could hear you talking about me, and it was all black, and I was trying to click. And it's like one of those situations where you're like, I can't do anything, and it looks like I'm doing something else. Yes.
Oh no, what do I do? What do I do?
I know I missed the last 2 weeks, Marwan. It's so nice to see you.
Well, I hope you won't miss breakfast next week since you missed that last month.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no kidding.
I know you're like, oh
I'm
man, really?
Yeah. I'm excited for breakfast. Kids' last day of school today. I took them for donuts.
Oh, nice. Are they excited? Are they sad?
One excited, one sad. She said her teacher's not coming back next year to the school, so she'll not get to see her ever again. I'm like, it's okay. I think it's okay, but I remember being excited when school was out. It's different. She just loves it so much.
It's funny. My daughter is the same way, and her teacher is leaving too. So she's moving, I think, to Boise right after the school year is over. And so she's sad about that, but she's going to junior high, so she's not even going to be at the school anyway. But she absolutely adores school. So if she has to stay home or she likes snow days, but because of the snow, but she would rather be in school. So she hates not being in school.
Yeah, our kids are in the same grade, right? Because yours is going to 6th grade.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Don't remind me. It is disheartening. Gives me a lot of anxiety and stress. How you doing there, Matt?
Good to see you, Marwan. Good to see you, Katie.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, it's been a while.
I know, it's been a little bit. How have you been?
Oh, doing well. Just trying to get through. I think it was my birthday 2 weeks ago, but I didn't have a voice.
What?
I would have been on here, but I did not have a voice. Matt saw me that day.
I remember we're on a different meeting. Poor Katie. Oh my gosh.
It
Well, happy
lasted all
birthday.
week too. Well, thank you. And then last week I was at dentist appointments, and I got another dentist appointment tomorrow, and was at one yesterday. So I guess the dentist has me now.
So what happened? Did you lose your voice because you were so turned up for your birthday? Like, what was it?
Yeah, or just turning a year older, then all of a sudden you break down. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you might be missing the show on Monday. We got a Monday show where we review Obi-Wan Kenobi. Me, Matt, and Rob, and his best friend, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good show. I've only seen the first episode so far, but good show.
Yeah, well, tune in this Monday for the after show. So we talk all things Obi-Wan.
Things version. Do a Stranger Things. I'm all in on that.
Do Stranger Things?
awesome show. I love that.
All right. We were actually talking about that, so that's funny. So this is I presented last month. This month is my first month kind of being here and being able to broadcast it, which is awesome. So I don't know all the people yet. So I just wanted to ask the two of you, one, if you had any updates, we want to, mention those again. But two, if there's anything that kind of stood out that you wanted to kind of reinforce, because I still don't know all the people.
Yeah, so I think it's that meeting. I'm awesome that we got approval to go forward, and I think it was the vast majority were in support of broadcasting them and then being put on the Conduit page. So I think that's fantastic, and I do think a lot of folks see the value of what you're doing, Marwan, with some of the media support and going forward. So that kind of format was pretty typical of sharing agency updates. And so each kind of agency, if they have a particular update, they'll kind of let folks know, kind of urgent of, hey, this is applicable to kind of the community. And you saw a lot of folks talk about, right, job postings or program, this program's happening or this program is no longer happening. Then what I did, and I think Hart, or there was another presentation scheduled that maybe didn't happen, but there's usually a deeper dive onto agencies or programs that are new, right, that we want to spend a little bit more time kind of talking about what's happening and what's going on. And Marwan, and the big update for me is getting anyone who's interested in that. The full version is going to be, that was just a taste, right? That was a teaser. And now we got the full version on Friday at 1 p.m. And for anyone that's interested, and it's designed for agency partners, but it is public information, and it's how we operate. And so I think that's fine for anyone that just wants to know more publicly as well. So that's kind of where we're at as far as kind of getting information out there. So I'm really excited to how that goes. This is a trial run. I already caveated in the coalition that I think it's going to be a little dry because it's an hour and 10 minutes of me kind of droning on about programs. And so Marwan, I think next time we need like a talk show vibe or something, right?
A talk show vibe? Okay.
So
you need a studio audience to jazz you up.
Yeah. So, we need a way to kind of, spice it up a little bit, because I think, and be a little bit more creative with some of the presentation. But I'm excited to talk further about that. But this is a great trial run, a learning opportunity for all of us, and I think a really good way to kind of get information out there. And then it's just recorded, and there's that timestamp, and so I think that's really exciting. So that's kind of that's kind of an overview of the pro. I don't know, Katie, what was your impressions, and kind of how did you what stood out to you?
I thought it was really good. I actually, before we started recording, I liked how Lisa had mentioned kind of our role and, what the coalition does, and that there's an executive committee. And it was really neat to hear that, just because we don't talk about it a lot. We go right into the updates. But, what is our bigger mission as a coalition? So I think we'll get there, and it's nice. You and I are part of the executive committee as well. And it's just nice to see things happening. I think good things are going to start to happen for the organization, just to kind of get more word out, and, broadcasting it is a really great start. So I'm excited about that.
And I couldn't record that part of it because they hadn't done the survey yet. So I'm like, oh man. And I came in late. So I'm like, did they already do the survey? Can I record? And so I'm looking for someone to tell me. And, I sent you an email, Matt, and I was like, can you send me the link? So I had to go and find an email that had the link on it, because it's not on the webpage.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So I was running from one meeting to the next. So I was like driving up. So I was kind of running around too. So I missed your email.
No worries. I literally spent 3 hours last night deleting 2,000 of my 15,000 emails. So I thought I deleted it and I couldn't find it. So I'm like, oh man, I need to phone a friend. One thing I wanted to say was the second presentation was about the HEART program. And if you were watching the Conduit last week, you got a great presentation about the HEART program from Kirsten and Jared, who is Kitsap County's Heart Coordinator. So that was an awesome one. So go back and take a look at that. And I'll try to put the link in here before we end. But this is what this is going to be, and really just providing that information out. I learned a ton by sitting in that. I learned a ton just sitting here with the 2 or 3 of you as we join in every Wednesday. But there's so many organizations that I was sharing. And some of these I didn't even know, the ACLU, the League of Women Voters, there is a lot. And I was just doing an interview with someone from KMH yesterday, and what she was saying, the good doctor was telling me that, there are, she just got here in August to Kitsap County, and she's really kind of surprised and heartened by all of the community organizations here in Kitsap. There really are a lot in one little small area, which is really powerful and helpful, because we need all that help for sure.
It is. I've heard that feedback that our coalition, small but mighty, right, is that we really do have a lot going for us, even though we are a little bit of a smaller county if you compare us to kind of King or Pierce or Snohomish. But I do think there's a lot of really positive. I think that's kind of this collective. Now, it's to distinguish, this is really kind of the agency-wide agency updates. It's not necessarily like collaboration on a client level. That's kind of done separately. But as far as collaboration, kind of, hey, what's going on, and talking about some of the procedures and information, and then making connections, it's incredibly valuable. And not everyone from that extensive list shows up, but I do think it's a really important kind of, professional, networking kind of opportunity. And like Katie said too, I didn't fully understand how the executive committee worked till I, was asked to join. And so it's great. I think Lisa's doing a great job of getting information out there of like, hey, this is how this organization works, right? It's information sharing. And there is a committee that kind of is, figuring out what information, as far as presentations and actually kind of working behind the scenes to answer questions. And it's, really just kind of, I think it's good to kind of get that information out there and kind of talk through folks, and even getting the members, on board of like, hey, this is what's happening. Because you're right. You had some people that came today that said, hey, this is my first time. I'm here. Someone told me to go to this, right? And so I think it is important to kind of recognize there's always kind of this like flow of, some folks have been there for a while, some are new, right? And kind of going back and forth.
Katie, would you mind, if you could you kind of explain the executive committee and how KHHC works?
You're going to put me on the spot. I'll tell you how
I'm sorry, because I missed it.
I'll tell you how I got on the committee. So it must have been last year, June, and I was looking to get more involved personally, actually, with homeless services or understand more about the organizations out there. I didn't know much from my position. I was at BHA at the time, and so I just wanted to, it wasn't part of my job, but I wanted to kind of get more involved. So I asked about how this information gets funneled. Maybe there's a county advisory group. So I contacted the county and said, do you have an advisory group for affordable housing? And they said, no, but we have this coalition. And so happens that Sarah, our former housing director, she was former director or chairperson of the coalition, a very active member of the coalition who helped get it going. So I talked to her about it. And so she introduced me to Kirsten and Cheryl, and then Cheryl's the chair. And I said, if I want to get more involved, and she's like, well, here's the executive committee too. And so there's the monthly executive committee. So that's how I ended up on it. But they're trying to formulate. I think I appreciate what Lisa's trying to do, because with Cheryl out, you realize that it all fell on one person's shoulders more than it should have. So now we're kind of using the committee to push forward initiatives, or what do we want to do, or how do we want to communicate? So it's not all on one person, because we realize what a great resource we have within this organization. I mean, people show up every month. What a great place to talk about, hey, Bremerton Housing Authority, KCR, we're going to be at the resource fair, Juneteenth. What a great place to say it and have the right people hear it. And it's just a great place to talk. So the executive committee is just trying to figure out what we want to do and how we want to make it more, I don't want to say official, formalized maybe. So when people do show up at those monthly meetings, they get some sort of standard, this is who we are, this is what we do, tell your friends. Because it's only going to get better from here. And I appreciate Lisa's taken on so much. She is the vice president, but Cheryl really had a lot of it on her shoulders to do everything, and specifically sharing out information. So we're working on it. There's definitely some improvements we're trying to make, and we're excited for Cheryl to come back too. I was excited to hear that she'll be back in September. So,
Oh, really? Okay, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, and for a lot of folks, it's collateral duties, right, from their other jobs that have a lot of collateral duty on top of that already. So, the fact that they're able to make space and extend their bandwidth to do all of this extra work is tremendous. But more people need more voices. So I love to hear things like, Katie is like, hey, I wanted to get involved and I contacted, and now I'm in and I'm doing this and now I'm doing that. And we need
they say I took
more
a Bremerton Housing Authority spot on the executive committee. I just don't know if that was a thing, but it's a thing now.
See, it's a thing now. There you go. See, make your own thing, forge your own path.
I appreciate it, and everybody's so. It's an amazing group. It's an amazing organization, and it is all volunteers. So it's going to be good. It's going to be even better. So.
And you're going to be able to access it in real time, or go back onto the website or onto the YouTube page and watch it, and send other people there, right? Because, programs change, new programs happen. And unfortunately, it takes so long for that news to travel that there's a program available for you and you're living with all this anxiety and stress. Like, where am I going to get help? Who do I go to? And there was this opportunity, right? Or the opportunity changed. And oftentimes everyone's an individual. So, the opportunity may not work the same for you as it works for someone else, because that happens too, right? It's like, oh, I went to KCR and they did this and that, and then they go and it's like, well, they didn't do that for me. And it's like, well, your situation was different. So getting it directly from the source is tremendously important also. So we're very happy to support in that way, and to have the confidence of the organization.
The question posed to Kitsap legal resource, I can't remember what it's called, but they're all, volunteer attorneys. And, well, some of them are on staff. Is that right, Matt? Some of them are on staff.
Yeah, some of them. So, yeah, Kitsap Legal Services, they have some contract attorneys that are paid. I do believe there is a contingent that is volunteer, but I think that's part of their right to counsel, is they actually did get some money to actually run that, or beyond just kind of volunteer capabilities.
Well, the posed question to them, and how many evictions have there been? And it was a great conversation. It was actually really, just to ask right there, right then. And, those are the people with the answers. And just to hear about the different nonprofits, like you said, there's nonprofits that come up actually all the time. And so we don't know who they are. And then it's nice to see a new person introduce themselves, introduce what they do. And maybe somebody's watching your podcast and be like, well, that's what I need. And so that's how they're going to learn.
Yes. Or a friend or a family member can pass that information on. So we're probably even going to put a little campaign money behind this and kind of push it out into Kitsap so it gets in front of more eyeballs. So stay tuned, Kitsap. We got stuff coming. And speaking of stuff coming, I'm going to come back to you again real quick here, Katie, but I wanted to let everyone know that there is a new show tonight on the Conduit. We are going to be covering the Bremerton Council meetings. So myself and Jeff Campbell, the gentleman who asked that question about evictions, we're starting a new show tonight. So after, we're going to air the Bremerton City Council meetings every Wednesday night. And after that, we'll have a kind of response show, right? And so that may get expanded to to other voices that come in. We're actually inviting people right now, but tonight will be the first show. So Wednesdays are tremendously long days for me.
Oh my goodness, Marwan.
Well, so the G2's consultant is actually, she lives in Spain. So my first meeting of the day is at 8 a.m. because they're 9 hours ahead. So my Wednesday is ridiculous.
Oof. So that's awesome because I think the city council, are they already televised now or no?
They're televised on BCAT, and you know the BCAT's awesome. The challenges is that everyone doesn't have access to BCAT. A lot of people, you know, aren't going to tune into that, right? You know, folks are going to use mediums that they're really comfortable with, and then this gives an opportunity. And hopefully, what I hope that will come from this, and not to come down on sides, but I'm just going to give it an example, right? The new shelter that the rescue mission is moving into in Port Orchard, you know, there's a lot of folks that were against that, and they will come out in force and use their 3 minutes to express their feelings on it. But there are a lot of people that are for the shelter, and for whatever reason, they don't come out in force the same way, right? And so hopefully this will empower, you know, folks to use their voice, regardless of what side, right? But I would like to see some equity in that, and encouraging people to use their voice, because it is a scary thing to come up and talk. You know, a lot of people have to take off work. You know, there's a lot of barriers to having your voice heard, and especially if you feel like it doesn't make a difference anyway, and that the powers that be are just going to do whatever they want. And you know, it is a cynical view. It's not necessarily true, but there are power in numbers, and so I hope to empower more people to get involved in the process and maybe even run themselves and make the change that they want to see.
No, that's great, and I do think you're right. Having it on multiple platforms is really helpful, and in YouTube, so easy, and so many people are comfortable with that. So I think even just having that supplemental is really, really awesome. Marwa, I was looking through some of the on YouTube and some of the way it's organized on the conduit. I'm wondering if the conduit, it would be possible to start organizing by playlists. So like all that, then you can start like easily going back through if you're wanting, instead of scrolling through the whole thing.
It is coming. It's amazing that we have over 400 videos in a little over a year. So it's time to do some organization. We're going to be cleaning that up and creating the playlist, and then porting all of that on the website, which when we're live, it is streaming on our website in real time. So you can catch it there also. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Katie, what were you going to say?
I don't know if I was going to say anything.
You always look like you're ready to jump in and say something.
I am. I just am excited. 400 videos we're on, and I like how you keep adding. You're like, it doesn't matter. We just need more. Who cares about what there's more to talk about. And I was going to say about Jeff Campbell. So when they were introduced, I think it's his group. He started a Facebook group called Let's Talk Affordable Housing Bremerton. And I think they named it now. It's the Bremerton Housing. Bremerton Housing something. So when you hear it, it's not Bremerton Housing Authority. It's Bremerton. It's BHEA or something like that. And I'm going to look it up real quick, but they created their little advocacy group, and it's, I could say little, but actually it's a lot of momentum, and they're really analyzing all the issues and trying to figure out what they can do as community members for affordable housing. So we're going to start hearing more and more from them, I think. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And while you're looking that up, another thing that we discussed is Wednesdays are great because we get, the heads of departments and executive directors to come on and share information that is so vital. But we also need to hear from the folks that are experiencing the issues too. And, the hope will be, Jeff and Jocelyn and many others are kind of boots on the ground, doing the prayer walks and feeding folks on the street, the Baileys and all those folks that are doing that work. They're at a different level, right? They're in the trenches. But then we also want to give voice to the folks that are receiving the services and those that are in need. So hopefully we'll be able to bridge that gap, and maybe the pancake breakfast would be a way to do that. So, again, it is open to all. So, bring folks with you. And then because of our relationship that we created last month with Jocelyn, we're going to be providing 25 pancake breakfasts for them to hand out to the folks that they do the prayer walk with, so that they get a meal that morning. So, that's how that works, which is also so great.
And I found the name. It's called the Bremerton Housing Equity Advocates, BHEA. So,
Bremerton Housing Advocates?
Equity Advocates.
Equity Advocates. All right, I'm going to pop that on the screen really quick. And then would you, as I pop this on the screen, Katie, would you mind putting that link in the chat?
Yeah,
in the
it's
private
a
chat so I can bring up.
group. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It's a Facebook group. So.
No. I mean, I'll pull that one up. The one for the Sinclair event tomorrow through the NAACP.
Oh, sure.
Because I just found out about that day before yesterday. Which again, once we really get going here, our intention is to put all those things on the calendar and on the website so people aren't hearing about things last minute. That's a really powerful resource fair that hey man, I'm in social media and I didn't hear about it until 2 days ago. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We got to fix that,
Even when you just posted the link. I had the link earlier. I'm trying to figure it out now.
So this is Let's Talk About Affordable Housing Bremerton. And this is the website or the Facebook group that has 211 members that Jeff Campbell has created, I think with some other folks too. So a lot of good information there, and you'll meet Jeff this evening. So stay tuned. Lots of cool things.
Yeah. It's, I'm of course interested in affordable housing in Bremerton, and so I've just kind of been watching the group, and really great conversations. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they can make out of it, because it's so nice, the community getting involved in that way, because affordable housing is not a one-person job, as we all know. So
no, absolutely not. But that's 211 people, active members. That's good traction there. So that is.
Oh yeah, they have some Zoom meetings and they're doing lots of action, not just talking on Facebook, which is really neat to see. Do you want me to send you the link again to pull up?
Yeah, if you could, I'll pull that up.
Okay.
Because if I put it in the chat, I cannot click on it, which is unfortunate. So I actually have to put it in a different format. And now
Matt, do you know if KCR is going to be at the resource fair tomorrow?
I don't know tomorrow. I know we have a joint table at the Juneteenth, so I know we're doing that together. But I don't know if we're going to be at the resource fair.
Well, if you show up, we'll be there.
Awesome.
That is tomorrow, June 16th, from 12 to 4 p.m. That is at Sinclair Missionary Baptist Church, 4000 Auto Center Way in Bremerton, 98312. It's right next to the DSHS office. And it looks like, look at all these folks. Goodwill, Kitsap.
Our name's on the flyer, so someone from KCR is going to be
there. House of Hope, American Family Insurance, Catalyst Public Schools, Foster Parent Alliance of Washington State, Paparazzi, Accessories, Kitsap Community Resources, Kitsap County Accessible Community Advisory Committee. That's a mouthful. And shout out to them. They were on the Conduit last week. Bremerton Housing Authority, Bremerton School District, West Sound Technical Skills Center, So IC LLC, the Bremerton Police Department, and the Kitsap Public Health District COVID-19 Vaccine Clinic, and of course, the Bremerton Housing Authority, which I didn't see you on the list that I just read. I did read it. I was reading so fast, I missed that.
We're going to be talking about Ready to Rent. So if you want to meet Lori Reisinger in person, go to the resource fair. Go to
There you go.
There.
You know what? You guys are like celebrities. Maybe they'll ask for autographs.
You should come by, Marwan. Are you going to be free?
I am coming by tomorrow.
Awesome.
I'll be coming by with my camera to cover the event for a little bit, and then that Friday is the film festival for Juneteenth. The Conduit is covering that, so we'll be there from 4 p.m. to midnight. That actual event is at 5 p.m. For a 1-hour social, and then from 6 to 10, they will be showing films, which are really powerful. It's a partnership with the Langston Hughes Institute, I believe, of Seattle. And there will be concessions for sale and wine and beer also if you consume those things. So it's a great Friday night to spend immersed in culture in observation of Juneteenth. And then, of course, we'll be there for Juneteenth on Saturday, 10 p.m. There will be a march and then all of the booths. And that's going to be a great event. It's going to rain, so, dress accordingly, but you're not going to want to miss it. This is the first one, as it is now a federally recognized holiday. And let me tell you, I'm on the planning committee, and they have gone all out for this one. So this should be really exciting.
I feel like we need a horn for that. First federally recognized.
So where's the horn?
So here's the deal. All right, so I gave my Rodecaster Pro to the church. And my Rodecaster Pro 2, so this is like going from a PlayStation 3 to a PlayStation 5, is shipping from Australia. And I got awesome news. It'll be here tomorrow. So it will be back in studio. I've got to relog all my sounds on, but by next week, we'll be good to go. Give me to the end of next week, because Juneteenth is going to wipe me out. But other than that, we're going to be back. So the horn and everything else.
When are we getting the intro music?
The intro music, all of that, right? Okay. Like right now, I'm using my mobile audio, right? It's like this big, but my Rodecaster, it's a beautiful thing. It's the precious,
Yeah.
So it is the rich.
I was looking at the Conduit, Marwan. I think that's your #1 most viewed, at least on YouTube. I know not across all the platforms, but is that unboxing?
Oh,
right.
People love the unboxings. Yeah, I need to do more because I got a new PTZ camera here that I just opened up last night. I've got all kinds of stuff coming. So, yeah, they get on me. I'm going to let you have that one. Thanks, Rev. I appreciate you. So you got to be careful what you say, because people are always watching,
People are... That's right.
But I think this is really good. This is how this format will be. I think we've kind of talked about everything now. And so what will happen is I will broadcast this live. Everyone will come on for 10 or 15 minutes, give any of their own updates, or just kind of recap and digest those things that maybe you missed because you couldn't watch the whole thing, or elaborate a little bit more like what the executive committee is. Because even though I'm watching it, I'm going to miss things because I'm trying to copy and paste things in the chat and all that good stuff. So the third Wednesday of the month is going to be really, really great. And again, I want to give a special thanks to Katie for helping us to organize what this looks like from week to week, right? So week 1 is the data. Week 2 is the deep dive. And Kirsten Jewell from the county comes on. Week 3 is now the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition. And then week 4 is the breakfast. And then if there is a week 5, that's, just kind of more information, and we kind of go from there. So we've really got some nice order to this. And Katie saw a calendar of events that popped up on Facebook. So now you can see all the times that the Conduit's going live. And so, yeah, she is really good with organization and marketing. So thank you.
Well, I don't know. Is that Mark?
Look at that smile.
Is that Mark doing that organization with the? He got the calendar out.
Oh yeah, Mark Boatwright Frost. Yeah, he put the calendar out from Roseco.
Yeah,
but,
and I see a lot of. He shares a lot, and it's good stuff. Yeah, he
yes,
shares.
He does. Yes, he does. And then, as you can see, if you listen to the meeting, Gather Together, Grow Together's name was mentioned so much. We were super excited about that. So, Matt seeing the value in the conduit in G2 and saying, hey, come in here and record this stuff and push this information out to the masses. And so we're very appreciative of Matt and KCR also. So I think this is value added to the community and to organizations working together also. So it's amazing how close you guys are in proximity as far as buildings, but you could go a week or two without actually seeing each other. So sometimes like, oh, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long, or oh, this is new information. And we're in the same arena. So I mean that's how busy the work is, and that's how much work there is. So
Are you coming to pancake breakfast, Katie, next week?
Pancake breakfast happening. Yes, it's definitely happening.
Bam, bam. All right. And I'll make sure I get the horn back on by the pancake breakfast. The Rev has my old Rodecaster Pro, and he deleted all my sounds off of there. I know you're listening, Rev. Yep, you deleted them all. You didn't have to do that. That gave me a little tear. You could have just saved them or moved them. It's okay though.
No hoarding. No hoarding.
Yeah, no horns in church. So
Don't some of the charismatic traditions, they've got the shofars? I think there's a lot of horns in church.
Well, yeah, there are, but I don't know about that particular horn. So,
and I was more talking about hoarding sounds. I mean, Rev's had it right. Like these are our ones, and he doesn't need them. I don't need them. We don't need to keep them around. It's okay.
Well, I do a show with him right after church service on Saturdays. So it's the No Cap Recap, where he kind of talks about what he preached about from the religious aspect, and I come from the secular side, and we kind of push it together and have a conversation. So,
cool.
I just try to collaborate in a lot of different ways. But who wants the final word today? Because I don't need the final word.
Oh gosh. I will take, for one, I looked at it. There is a 5th Wednesday this month. So I would say the 5th Wednesday is probably going to be a nice way to get everybody back together and talk about some updates, since we don't do that as much. So that's a good 5th Wednesday chat. And also, last word, Juneteenth. Well, tomorrow we got the resource fair, but Juneteenth, it's going to be raining, but it's going to be fun. And so March, that starts at 10 on 5th and Pacific. And then the festival starts at 11 to 3. And there's lots of booths, lots of fun stuff for the kids to do, lots of presentations. It's going to be a good time, even in the rain.
Lots of food.
Lots of food, yes, food. It's going to be a good time on Saturday, so hope to see everybody there.
Absolutely. And I think there's an event Sunday in Bainbridge Island also. I don't know the name of that. It is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers if you don't check in with the conduit before then. So for the coalition, for Katie and Matt, I am Marwan Cameron. This is the conduit. We'll see you, in about an hour and a half.